Welcome to The Explainer. So, what if I told you the best way to understand Wall Street wasn't in some stuffy textbook, but inside a medieval fantasy world? With dragons, magic, the whole deal. Yeah, today we're skipping the monster slang, and instead, we're going to break down modern finance.
I know. It sounds pretty wild, doesn't it? A video game that's a perfect copy of the New York Stock Exchange? But stick with me here, because you're about to see just how deep this rabbit hole goes. The parallels are, honestly, just incredible.
So, let's hit the scene. We're in a world called Gielinor, from the game Old School RuneScape. And right at the center of it all is this place, the Grand Exchange. I want you to picture a massive, bustling marketplace totally run by players. Every single thing, from a simple health potion to a mythical sword, has a price, and it's all dictated by good old supply and demand.
All right, so here's the game plan for today. First, we're hitting the trading floor. Then, we'll learn how to read the market ticker. After that, it's all about mastering the flip. Then we'll zoom out to look at the whole economy. And finally, we'll dive into the really high-stakes stuff.
Okay, let's get into it. Section 1, the trading floor. This is ground zero. We're starting with the absolute basics, how to place your very first trade.
Placing a trade here is actually super straightforward. You just search for what you want, decide if you're buying or selling, punch in how many and for what price, and bam, you confirm. The system takes it from there and finds a match for you automatically. Seriously, if you've ever used a trading app like Robinhood, you already know exactly how this works.
Okay, and this is where your mind kind of gets blown. The language is a perfect match. What they call a buy offer, in Wall Street terms, that's a bid. A sell offer, that's an ask. The in-game tax, it's basically a broker commission and capital gains tax rolled into one. Even the buy limits are just like real-world position limits that stop one person from cornering the market. It's not just similar, it's a direct, one-to-one translation.
All right, so we get how to place a trade. But that's the easy part. How do you trade smart? Well, just like in the real world, it's all about the data. And believe me, this game gives you a ton of it to work with.
Okay, you have to understand this one concept because it's a total game changer. It's called high alch value. Basically, it's a magic spell in the game that lets you instantly liquidate any item for a fixed amount of gold. Think of it as an item's absolute, guaranteed, rock-bottom price. No matter what happens in the market, it can never be worth less than this value. It's the ultimate safety.
And that opens up the door for some classic value investing. See, if the market price for an item ever dips below its high alch value, well, you've just found free money. It's a pure arbitrage play. You buy the item on the cheap, use the spell to liquidate it, and pocket the difference. It is literally a risk-free profit. It's like buying a dollar bill for 95 cents.
But the really savvy traders, they're looking at way more than just that one number. They're watching trading volume to gauge liquidity, just like a pro on the NYSE. They're analyzing 180-day price graphs, doing their technical analysis. And yeah, they're constantly working around those buy limits, which is just their version of the free float. How many shares are available to trade?
Okay, we've got the mechanics down, we know how to read the data. Now let's talk about how people actually make money. Let's talk about the art of flipping. This is the core strategy. Buy low, sell high, and do it fast.
Yeah, they call it flipping or marshing, and it's the lifeblood of the economy here. The whole idea is to profit from the spread. That's just the tiny difference between the highest buy offer and the lowest sell offer. You buy at one end, sell at the other, and keep the change. It's basically day trading or swing trading, plain and simple.
And just like in the real world, traders have different styles. Some players are scalpers. They're like high-frequency trading algorithms, making tons of trades for tiny profits on high-volume stuff. Then you have the swing traders. They're playing a slightly longer game, holding items for a few hours or days, trying to catch a bigger price move, maybe based on an upcoming game update, which is basically their version of a quarterly earnings report.
And you better believe this isn't just kids messing around. There are entire communities, websites, and guides dedicated to this. You'll see advice like start with a 25 million gold stack, diversify, don't touch anything with less than a 1% ROI. I mean, it sounds like it's pulled straight from a portfolio manager's handbook. This is serious stuff.
All right, let's zoom out for a second. We've been focused on individual traders and items, but now let's look at the big picture, the entire economy of this world. And when we do, we're going to see some major macroeconomic forces that look, well, shockingly familiar.
So get ready for this number, the estimated money supply.
The total amount of gold in circulation is around 27 quadrillion. That's a 27 with 15 zeros. I mean, that's an absolutely mind-boggling figure. And just like in any real-world economy, that massive money supply means they have to deal with the constant threat of inflation.
So who's managing all this? Well, the game developers basically act as the central bank, like a virtual Federal Reserve. They have faucets, things that pump new gold into the economy, like monster drops. That causes inflation. And they have sinks, things that take gold out of the economy, like taxes and repair costs. That fights inflation. It's this constant balancing act to keep the whole system from collapse.
And you guessed it, this economy reacts to shocks just like ours does. Let's say the developers release an update that makes a big boss tougher to beat. Boom, that's a supply shock. The rare items it drops become scarcer and their prices skyrocket. Or what if a popular streamer discovers a new combat style that requires a specific potion? Wham, that's a demand shock. The price of that potion goes to the moon overnight.
But here's the thing. Not all the action happens on the public exchange. We're now heading into the back rooms, the high-stakes world of rare assets and private deals. This is where the real whales play. And it's less about utility and all about status.
So you've got your blue chip items, like a twisted bow, trading publicly on the GE. That's your Tesla stock, liquid, transparent price. But then you have the really rare stuff. We're talking about items like the blue Halloween mask, which are basically collector's items. Their supply is fixed, they're not traded on the open market. These deals happen privately, on forums, based on trust and reputation. It's the exact same dynamic as the market for a rare Picasso painting or a private equity deal. They're not just assets, they're the ultimate digital flex.
So where does all this leave us? I mean, it's pretty clear that these virtual economies can mirror Wall Street with an incredible amount of detail. It makes you wonder, right? If a game can create a perfect, transparent economic simulation where every single transaction is recorded, what does that say about our own, often murky, financial systems? And maybe the bigger question is this: as more and more of our lives, our assets, our identities move online, what does it mean for the future of finance itself? Are we all just leveling up in a game that's becoming more real every single day?